Peace and blessings, beautiful people.
Peace and blessings.
And this is Empress Imani.
And Empress Alisa.
And welcome to this episode of Sacred Love Lessons. Today, you guys, we want to talk to you about how do you know when you have passed the test, right? Life, we have come here to this planet to learn lessons. And life is full of lessons. And one way to know, some ways to know, that you've learned the lesson is that when you go and you retest it, you actually pass.
You actually pass that test.
Yes. So let me just give you the backstory. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, my aunt, my great aunt, we call her the Oracle. She passed away, and her homegoing service was on Saturday. So wife goddess and I, we went to Dallas. And we went to the service. It was amazing. What that meant for me, I was going to have to encounter a lot of people in my family, people that I had not seen for years. Some I hadn't seen for years. Of course, I hadn't seen most of anyone in the year of 2020 for obvious reasons. But some I hadn't seen in a while. And then there were friends of the family and things like that, people that I was going to see. Over the course of our trip, I was tested. And I was reflecting back on the weekend, because we're back in Florida now. I was reflecting back on the weekend. And I just was thinking how, okay, this happened and how I responded to the situation. And I was so proud of myself, you guys. I got 5 gold stars. I gave myself 5 gold stars because there were moments, like one moment I had seen a second cousin. I hadn't seen her. I don't know when the last time I had seen her. And I could tell, I picked up on her energy right away, so I could tell she was very guarded. And it didn't really seem like she wanted to hug me. Now, everyone had on masks. We all wore masks. And inside the sanctuary, there was COVID protocols in place. When we were outside, in the parking lot, people were a little bit more friendly. But everyone had on a mask. And so what I would do is I would hug people at their waist. And I would turn my head away, just, for protocol purposes. And so, but I could pick up on her energy that something wasn't quite right in the milk with her. And I just chalked it up. Well, maybe she's just grieving and we'll just leave it at that. So I hugged her. And then I found out later on yesterday that she's just off the beaten path. We'll say it like that. She's off the beaten path. And she's not living a high vibing life. So my intuition was correct. The energy that I picked up on the first time from her was actually correct. And so for me, that was an A. That was because I picked up on it and I was accurate.
Yeah. And I could also tell that I didn't know who she was. I didn't know anything about her. But I could tell immediately that she was looked kind of skittish about even being around us. And hugging seemed like something she really wasn't willing to do. She
did hug me, and she spoke. She actually spoke to me first. I didn't even see her at first.
Yeah, she recognized you first and spoke to you, but she didn't look like she was just readily going in for a hug. Most people, when they recognized you, they hugged you. They reached out for a hug because they're your family or your friends.
Right. And keep in mind, we all had on masks, so you couldn't always know who was who behind the mask. Some people had on some elaborate masks.
Yeah.
Because one cousin, I didn't know who he was. I was like, who are you?
Yeah, he had on the thing that you would see Muslim women wear.
Yes.
The long veil that comes down over your chest all the way.
Yeah.
And it was
and he had on shades.
Yeah, and with the shades on, we had no idea
who he was. Yeah, I didn't know who he was. Anyway, so then that was one test. And then another test was with my mom. And so I won't go into details of what exactly happened. But I will say that there are some people who, I don't know if it's conscious or unconscious. They just vibe on a certain frequency.
Yeah.
And they may say negative things and not even realize how negative they are.
Yeah, I think it's just the energy field in which they exist.
Yeah.
The vibration in which they exist doesn't allow them to see things at that higher level or to ascend to something until they're willing to do so.
Right. And so I could see various people who had not done the work, the spiritual work, and she was one of them. But I showed her love anyway. I was very loving, very welcoming, very affectionate, in spite of the negative things that were projected at me.
And I wasn't sure if she wanted to hug me or not, but I hugged her and told her I loved her because I do.
Yeah.
She's the mother of my wife goddess.
Yeah. So we loved on her anyway, and we just left it there. And then another test that I experienced was, and I had just watched a video. Shout out to Asia Arrow. She had done this video about how, when you have dreams, you have to be mindful about who you share your dreams with, because people will, they'll shit on your dreams. And they're speaking from their own fear, and they'll project that fear onto you.
Absolutely.
And I encountered that with someone, and he was speaking from his own fear. He really did not mean any harm.
Yeah.
I think he was speaking really from his own fear. And but every time he spoke something that was fearful, I spoke from my highest self, and I was able to respond in power.
Yes.
And I was, you guys, y'all would have been, I'm so proud of myself. Imani, I'm proud of you, girl. Y'all would have been proud of me. Y'all was standing in my greatness. I was shining. My light was shining. And it was just amazing. Y'all would have been proud of me. So we've shared 3 ways in where I was tested over this weekend. Now, let's give you 3 ways to know how you've passed the test. One way to know is like the first situation where I picked up on the energy. If you pick up on negative energy and you still choose to respond versus react, because I could have easily pulled away from her. I could have just waved and walked away. But I did not. So if you choose to respond versus react, that's one way to know. And then how you respond. I responded from my highest self by showing her love.
Yes, always respond from your heart. Respond with love. Because if you get too heady and start thinking about it too much, you will end up maybe reacting instead of responding in the proper way.
Right. And I would say in each case, I responded with love.
With love.
Yeah, with love. Especially case 1 and 2, I responded with love. And in case 2, I didn't use the words, I love you. I didn't hear you say I love you.
Oh, I said it when I hugged her.
Oh, okay. I didn't. I didn't say that. But I did hug her. I did show love, and I hugged her. And I went out of my way to speak to her. Because when we were inside the church, like when we first walked in, I didn't see her until she was up front speaking. Yeah. And then when we left, I didn't see her. I didn't see my mom again until we were at the cemetery.
Yeah.
And then I went over to her. I approached first and spoke to her and then hugged her. So it wasn't like she was going to come over to me. But she said she saw us walk in the church.
She said she saw us walking in church. We went to the left, and she was sitting in the center. I saw her when we walked in.
I didn't see her.
Yeah, but I didn't see her at the cemetery at all until she drove up, and we saw her driving up, and we spoke to her.
Right. But I could have, even in that situation, I could have just waved and walked away. And I did not. I flagged her down. Yeah. And I spoke to her, and I hugged her.
Yeah.
And said hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was that. I still responded I responded, and then I responded from my highest self with love. Mm-hmm. In the third case, the way that I responded, me and this particular person, we're on good terms. Like, we love each other, all is well. But he has some concerns, and those concerns were coming from his own fear, right? Because I'm a free spirit, you guys. If you watch us on Facebook on Sacred Love Lessons, you'll see that both of us are very free spirits. We tend to move. We go with flow.
Yeah, go with flow. That's what I was about to say. We
Yeah.
go with flow a lot.
Yeah, we go with flow. And so if I decide, today I want to get up and go to a different country and have lunch or whatever, just do whatever. We'll get up and we'll go do that. Well, not everyone is like that, And so there are people who are not like that. When they see people like us doing those type of things, they get afraid, and then they ask questions like, are you afraid of crime? What about crime? What about this? They'll start projecting all of the obstacles of fear that they have in their mind onto us. They'll try to do that. And in that case, when it happened, for each obstacle, I had a really good response where I responded from my highest self, standing in my power.
Yeah, as long as you're standing in your power, you'll be able to respond. Because I think when they're operating in fear and they try to project that fear into you, they want to create doubt in your mind about the decisions that you make and about the things that you do for your life. But as long as you're operating in your highest self and from a place of power, you will make the decisions best for you, and you won't have doubt created for you.
Right.
You'll be confident in the decisions that you make.
Right. Like the choices that I make for me, they're made from a place of who am I? That goes back to the fact that's part of our foundation.
Who am I and what is it that I want?
Right. And we don't live for other people. And just because someone else is having an experience in their reality, that has nothing to do with me.
No, it doesn't.
Someone else's problems, someone else's toxicity, someone else's fear, someone else's emotion, no matter what that emotion.
All the limitations that they set for themselves and the boundaries that they put around themselves has nothing to do with us.
It has nothing to do with us. And when you are clear on that, you can respond in a very powerful way, in a very loving way, in a way that I make people laugh when I say, hey, look, people say, well, what about this? And I say, well, we have that everywhere. What about that? Well, we have that everywhere. Like, I cannot allow what's going on in the world to dictate how I live my life.
Yep. This part of the world belongs to us, and how we want to choose to live it is up to us. And we don't let outsiders influence that in the way that's opposite of what we know is true to our core values.
Right. Now, I'll pause here because I know there's some people out there, oh my God. I know there's some nitpickers out there. Shout out to you. We're not talking about limitations of COVID. Okay, so let me just put that on the table. We're not talking about that. We operate within the rules that we have to operate. But guess what? We do what we can. So when the beaches were closed, they say you can't go to the beach. Okay, maybe we can't go onto the beach, but we can go by the beach. Exactly. So we're going to drive through there or walk through their park and walk by the beach.
Look at the beach. We weren't on the beach.
Right.
We weren't even over the rope. They had the yellow tape. We were on the other side of the yellow tape, but we could see the beach from where we were.
And I remember like when COVID and all that first kicked in back in March of 2020, and they closed the beaches, like you could not go onto the sand, right? And so, but they didn't say you can't sit on the wall.
Yeah. So
we went and sat on the wall. Yeah.
Of course, following that, it was another sign saying you can't sit on the wall.
Right. But until that rule was,
enacted,
right?
Yeah, we sat on the wall. We weren't on the sand. We were on the wall next to the sand.
Right. So I give you that example.
We were beach adjacent.
Right. I give you that example to show, yes, you can still operate within the confines of rules that may be in place, but you can still live.
Yes.
You can still live.
We love ourselves. We take our health very seriously, and we're not trying to get sick, and we're not advocating any of that. What we're saying is live your life still, though, inside of those limitations and parameters that they're giving us to help keep us all healthy.
Yeah, they're not limitations.
Keep us all safe. What they are, they're to help us keep us all safe.
Right, healthy and safe. So that's just a sidebar. I just wanted to throw that out there because I can feel some of my nitpickers. I can hear you right now in my spirit talking about what about COVID. That is not what I'm talking about, But I'm not going to be afraid to travel and go do things and go see the world, and learn about different things because there are things going on in the world, I'm not going to do that. So I just wanted to come and just share that with you, ways to know whether or not you're passing the test, because this is how it works, right? What we're sharing with you, I really wish someone had taught me these things when I was young. Like in my early teens and my young 20s, because I would just be so far ahead of the game. So our intention is to share this information with you to help you, no matter where you are in your journey, to help you step up, level up in your game, right? So ways to know that you have passed the test is that, how do you feel when these things happen? Check your feelings. When I reflect back on what happened, I felt fine. I felt good. I was coming from a place of love and light, and all was well in my world. How did I respond? I responded with love.
And that's how you have to respond. You have to be able to see past what a person is actually saying and doing, and see that may be but either fear, it could be pain, it could be boundaries they've set for themselves. Whatever it is, if it's coming to you and it's not in alignment with what you have already said is what you want for your life, then it's not for you. And you can operate in love and just respond in love.
And then I also realized, that, I co-create with the universe. That I already know. That was a confirmation, for me. I co-create with the universe. And, my reality is what I want it to be. My reality is what I'm supposed to be, my sacred purpose, my soul mission, what I was sent here to do. And so you guys, it was amazing. I'm just gonna leave it there because I could go on and on. It was amazing. It was a final exam of sorts. Anytime you overcome something, you will be retested to see if you truly have learned the lesson. And I just have great news, praise report, that I have learned so many lessons.
And I have to say that 2020 was a year that had lessons to be learned.
Oh, yes.
Not only for my beautiful wife and I, but for a lot of other people too. And I'm very happy to report, our test of faith, our lessons to be learned, we got A++ and a lot of gold stars because we were operating in faith and in love, and our higher self was operating, and it's been a beautiful journey.
With a solid foundation.
Solid foundation built on love, trust, and a lot of other things. Faith.
Yeah. And we built that foundation in 2019.
Absolutely.
We built that, and then we just maintained and just remained steadfast in 2020. It was amazing.
Absolutely.
So anyway, you guys, that's all we have for you today. Don't forget to share this podcast with your family, your friends. And until next time,
be the light.
Be the light.